We are back with the Trending 10. We're here every single week. Sometimes I'm not here. Sometimes Tom's not here. I feel like most of the time Russ is here. However,
I try to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic, Ryan. How about yourself? It's been a while.
It's been a while. I'm still waking up. I feel like I'm still at home, asleep, and in bed. But I'm not. I'm here. We're doing the trending list. It is San Diego Comic-Con week. It is Fantastic Four week. Neither of those are affecting the list right now at number 10, however, with the DC All-In special from last year. This kind of has the first appearance of most of the, at least the original wave of DC Absolute characters, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
$10 average sales, a recent CGC 9.8 went for $99. And with the fact that you have the Absolute Trinity in there, this book is on the list this week because San Diego Comic-Con has made some announcements about new Absolute characters coming out, including Absolute Green Arrow.
Absolute Green Arrow, a friend of the show, Pornsack Piece Show. Congrats, man. You're killing it. I'm very, very excited to read this book. The main Green Arrow book by Chris Condon is actually like a dark horse favorite out of all of DC for me. So I'm actually weirdly excited for this new Absolute Green Arrow coming out, I believe, next year. I'm not too sure. I'm kind of trying to stay a little dark on that one. I want to go in pretty cold. Let's move on. Let's get on to number 9 on the list. That is the number that comes after 10. Fantastic Four annual number 6 from 1968. This one has made appearances it's like hopscotching between the Hot 10 and the Trending 10. This book came out in 1968. The price for this one is a little higher than you would think. We're seeing about $525 averages, but we did just have the highest sale of the year for a CGC 9.2 happen earlier this month for $1,700.
We are seeing a 125% increase in copies sold this week on the confirmation that Franklin Richards is in the movie. This book itself is so far down from the all-time highs. Back in May of 2022, we saw a $3,700 sale on a heritage auction. So to drop that much, it's pretty impressive.
So yeah, we've known for a while that Sue Storm would at least be pregnant with Franklin for some portion of this movie, but based on recent trailers and clips, we now know that he will be born at some point in the movie as well. So Franklin is seeming to be a little more important than maybe we had thought previously.
Number 8 on the list, we have Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man number 1. This is an oversized Treasury edition from 1976. We are reporting $325 average sales, but this being an oversized book means that it could go anywhere price-wise from $40 or $50 to a few $100s for a super high-grade book. I did see a lot of them. Someone had 12 of them on eBay, and those ended up selling for $1,300, so about $110 a piece for the really high-grade ones. The problem is that even though we're seeing 167% increase in copies sold on this book, it is so big CGC will not slab it. If you're looking to get a slabbed copy, you can get the second print, the gold bordered one. Those are available to actually get slabbed because they're comic book size, but a couple of them sold recently, a 9.6 and a 9.8, both in the $150 to $200 range. Good thing to do because this is the first book where we see crossover between Marvel and DC characters.
And this crossover is on people's mind lately because this year we're finally getting Marvel and DC crossover books. And maybe we're also getting kind of an extension of that on screen too. It just hit me, but Fantastic Four and Superman are kind of going head to head right now too. And that crossover book as well is also on people's minds, the Superman Fantastic Four crossover. But later in the year, not only are we getting the previously announced Deadpool Batman crossover team-up books, but we're also getting a Daredevil Green Arrow crossover book written by Kevin Smith, which is pretty cool. We're also getting a Jeff the Landshark / Crypto team-up book. That should be pretty fun. I'm also seeing Captain America, a Wonder Woman team-up book on here. So the fact that they're kind of slow dripping the announcements for these upcoming books is pretty exciting, and there's supposedly going to be more on the way. So should be a fun second half of the year leading into next year on that one.
Just something that's probably going to get cut anyway, but I actually think this is really sweet, and I like this a whole lot. I found out the reason this week why Gwenpool gave Jeff the Landshark to Deadpool. She specifically said that your comic books don't get canceled and mine do, and I want Jeff the Landshark to continue to live. And that's such a sweet moment. And the fact that we now are able to see Jeff the Landshark in so many other things, including Marvel Rivals and other comic books, I think it's just one of those very meta in the universe type things. They're aware of the fact that some of these comics run for a while and some of them don't. And I think that's a really nice thing.
Before we move on, we got to talk about Key Collector. We talk about it every week. Key Collector Comics, the application for smartphones phones, Androids, iPhones. I believe you can even use it on the internet if you want, like an actual computer.
Right, a real computer.
Anyway, there's a whole category on that app called optioned indies, which is pretty cool. If you want to, avoid some superhero speculation, there's a whole bunch of indie comics out there that are getting picked up and adapted quite successfully in some cases to film and television. And this next book on the list is a prime example of that. Russ, can you explain a little more about the optioned indies category section on Key Collector?
The optioned indies section is all of the independent comics that aren't Marvel and DC that have been optioned for television or movies. And the cool thing is that a lot of these end up on the trending list when we have release dates, or even when we just have option news. These are the books that you could pick up probably pretty cheap and get some long-term spec ideas.
And if you use code TOM101, you will get a 2-week trial of the paid version of Key Collector Comics, which is a no-brainer. Just go do that and come back here for number 7 on the list, which is Butterfly, number 1 from 2014, Boom Studios. That's why we talked about that book, because that book has just been optioned for a television series, and it's debuting next month. We just got a new trailer this last week, and it looks pretty intense. And honestly, if you're not a comic nerd, you probably wouldn't even know this was a comic book in the first place.
$12 average sales, $150 for CGC 9.8, but an incredible 400% increase in copies sold this week.
And the show looks pretty good. It's coming to Amazon, and Amazon honestly seems to have their finger on the pulse when it comes to successful comic book adaptations. Obviously, you got Invincible and The Boys, but we've been talking a lot about, like, Criminal is something that's coming up that I'm very excited for. This show is probably going to do pretty well. Amazon is doing a lot better than other streaming platforms when it comes to adapting comic books successfully, but that is a entirely separate conversation. What's next on the list, Russ? What's number 6?
Number 6 on the list, New Teen Titans, number 1 from 1980. $30 average sales and a CGC 9.8 for $230. Why are we seeing a 225% increase in copies sold this week, Ryan?
That's a good question, Russ. 225. That's nothing to sneeze at, but it's kind of you work with me here, right? We've got the DCU. James Gunn making all these DC movies.
Right.
Superman movie came out. It's pretty successful.
Yeah.
They've been talking a lot about the Wonder Woman movie. More on that in a little bit. But they did just announce that the writer Anna Nogueira will be attached to the Wonder Woman movie. If that name sounds familiar, that's because she's already been announced to be writing the Teen Titans movie for DC as well. So apparently, however good that project is coming along, they clearly like the script well enough to give her a bigger, higher profile project like Wonder Woman. Which to me says that maybe the Teen Titans movie is pretty good behind the scenes. At least the script seems to be solid enough to trust Anna Nogueira with something, of a much higher caliber and more important to the company like Wonder Woman.
All I really want is more Teen Titans Go, but you can kind of see this like next generation of characters. And in this Superman movie, a lot of people were excited about the Supergirl cameo, not even a cameo. She was in the movie, had a part, explained it. We know there are movies coming up, and that's one of the reasons why we believe this next one, number 5, is on the list. Crisis on Infinite Earths, number 7.
That was a good transition, Russ. That was very good. We're seeing a 483% increase in copies sold of this book week over week. That's a little bit of a larger increase than we were just talking about before. However, $20 average sales, and we just saw a 9.8 hit $120 earlier this month, which is actually directly the 12-month average for this book. So it seems like this book is staying right around where it has been for the last year. Not a whole lot of movement up or down on this one.
This is a beautiful book. Superman is cradling his cousin Supergirl, who has died in this issue, and she was gone in DC canon for quite some time. They didn't bring her back for many years after this. Now, why is this book so cheap? It was massively overproduced. I can tell you that all of these Crisis books have huge, huge print runs. I just got a collection. It literally had 30 copies of issue number 1 and 15 copies of every subsequent one. And they're all 9s and above. So getting a copy of this book, 7 and 8, The Death of Supergirl and The Death of Barry Allen Flash, those are the two big expensive books in the run, and they're still not very expensive just because they have a massive, massive print run. So be careful and do not overpay for this book.
That's good advice, and I wonder if that applies to the next book on the list. Number 4 is kind of, at least in a similar theme when it comes to the character in question. We're talking about Action Comics number 485. This is Neil Adams doing a little bit of a self-homage to his classic Breaking the Chains cover here. We are seeing a 233% increase in copies sold of this book, however, and there's only 120 slabs on the census at all, CGC graded copies of that book. It doesn't sell that often either. So is this book Is this something you got to go like hunting for in a bin and send it in to get graded yourself? Is this even on your radar, or like how do you feel about this one?
It's a cool book, but it's kind of like, breaking the bottle of Candor. There are some interesting Neil Adams covers from this era that are cool, but worth not a whole lot. The $10 average sales is what they've been selling for. I'm seeing Raws go between 30 and 50 on this book just because people don't want to actually spend the money on Superman 233, the real breaking the chains of this. But it's a good replacement. Not a lot of people are getting them graded, and you can assume that this is also from an era that DC books like this probably have between a 250,000 print run. So you can get raw copies for cheap. You can get nice looking copies and get them slabbed because there's not that many on the census, only 32.98.
If you like this show, want to support what we do, we're here every single week doing this video for you, even if our friend Tom isn't here. He is out of the state right now down in San Diego Comic-Con, living it up, partying. I'm sure he's not working at all or doing anything important. Regardless, make sure you check out the mystery mail call. We are in open enrollment for the August box right now. You got until August 15th to sign up and lock in this box, which will include at least one exclusive in there is Fantastic Four #1 with cover art done by John Boy Myers. This is an extreme close-up of Dr. Doom, and it looks really cool. I don't even know what the other exclusive is going to be, but we'll announce that here pretty soon, I'm sure. But if you want to lock in, we've actually sold out, I think, like the last 2 months on the mystery mail call. So if you have even thought about kind of maybe getting it, maybe sooner rather than later, make that decision. Either way, comictom.com, links down below in the description.
Speaking of being in California, number 3 on the list, Calexit #1, an independent book from 2017, which was also over on the optioned indies button on your Key Collector app. That's why you need to use it.
Tying it all together.
$10 average sales and sets of both cover A and B have been going for about $25.
567% increase on this book, however. That's a pretty big deal. It was just announced this week. I think we knew that this was optioned a while ago to become a movie, but a director was just attached. We got the director of John Wick, Chad Stahelski, will be directing the Calexit movie. And this honestly came out during my not reading comic books period. I want to track this one down and read it. I always like the kind of politically charged sort of modern present day stories. This one is apparently about California breaking off and becoming its own separate country in the wake of some sort of political presidential shenanigans that are happening. Feels kind of topical. It kind of reminds me of the A24 movie Civil War that was pretty successful last year. I'm not too surprised to kind of see other studios maybe trying to reach out and find similar, maybe hot button kind of political themed topics to adapt for future projects.
If memory serves correctly, I think Tom and I were talking about this in like 2019. I mean, this was pre-pandemic when we were first talking about this book getting optioned, which is why it's even more shocking that I see there's only 6 copies at a 9.8, and there are only 9 total copies graded. And the fact that we aren't even reporting on 9.8 sales is because the last few 9.8 sales happened back in 2017 when the book first came out.
It's a ghost.
It really, really is. And I'm sure there are copies out there. I know there are people at the shop who had it in their box and read it. So go digging through your back issues and check it out at shops. You might be able to find this on the cheap.
Pretty sure this book would have been on my pull list back in the day, but I was not reading comics back in 2017. That was just before I got on this channel when we started in 2018. But anyway, moving on. Booster Gold is on the list this week. I'm excited. I really want to see Booster Gold in live action. I guess he was in like Smallville or Arrow or something at some point. Anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Number 2 on the list, Booster Gold #1 from 1986. We've actually seen a couple of updates on Booster Gold this past week. I'm pretty excited. We have a 333% increase in copies sold because we got writer announcements this past week.
I love alliteration, and I love it when it's unintentional. I actually think it's kind of cool. I'm a big words guy. I'm a dork. Sorry. But
words guy.
Dan Jurgens was the one who was the artist and writer of Booster Gold #1. So it makes sense that when they announce David Jenkins, the writer from Our Flag Means Death, is tied to make the pilot for this, that just kind of makes me giggle inside. I think it's kind of fun.
I think we talked about this book last year, back when there were rumors that Danny McBride was rumored to be the writer of the Booster Gold series, and I was on board with that. I think he's pretty funny. I'm a fan of his writing. His acting can go either way for me, but I think Righteous Gemstones was really funny. I'm a fan of Vice Principals, Eastbound and Down, all those HBO shows that he did. So it does make sense that they would keep it in the Warner Brothers family. If they're not going to go with an HBO Danny McBride, they would go with somebody who made Our Flag Means Death for HBO Max or just Max or whatever the hell it's called now.
And now you've got me envisioning Danny McBride as Booster Gold. And the stretch here it's not that much of a stretch, because if you remember the time we were talking about this book before then, it was because of Blackguard's first appearance. And when James Gunn put Blackguard in the movie, and it was Pete Davidson, but he totally got killed in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's a spoiler, but if you haven't seen it, sorry guys.
I'm just stuck on Danny McBride Booster Gold. That does not make any sense, but that would basically just be like Kenny
He'd get
Powers.
to wear really cool sunglasses again.
Yeah.
I mean, he likes the sunglasses.
That's Kenny Powers in the DC universe.
Done.
All right, let's get to it. What's number one this week, Russ? Any big news happen this week? Anything happen at all that would maybe put one of these books here at number one?
Oh man, I know. This is tough. This is actually...
This happens every time that you and I are doing a video. It's like an inside joke we've had for a long time, but unfortunately it's held true more times than not.
Right. Pretty much every single time Ryan and I have to do a video when Tom is out of town, someone passes away. And this week is no different. And this one hit me particularly, but a lot of people I know especially hard. The passing of the Prince of Darkness last week, the passing of Ozzy Osbourne, just, it was wonderful that he was able to go back to Birmingham, do the Back to Beginning concert, the fact that he had so many fans there and so many musicians that came to help and pay tribute and have him do his final concert on July 5th. When he passed away, it really, really just left a massive hole in music, and God, he just... such a trailblazer, and for even people like you who didn't grow up listening to Ozzy Osbourne's music, watching
friends
him
of mine did though. I had a couple of Ozzy friends growing up,
but watching the Osbournes television show,
I saw some of that.
Knowing Jack and Kelly and knowing Sharon and the rest of the family, it's a massive thing. So completely and totally fitting, number one on the list this week is Ozzy Osbourne, number one from 1993. One of those unauthorized revolutionary comic books, $15 average sales. If you want it, go buy it.
I checked eBay before just to get some numbers, because the slabs, there's 3 slabs on the census. This isn't a book people were rushing out to grade.
Right.
So I looked it up on eBay, and yeah, there's like $10 or $15 sales for this book. If you really want one, it doesn't seem like it will break the bank to grab one. It apparently comes polybagged with a guitar pick in there too. It's just there were more Ozzy Osbourne books also on the trending 20. I didn't even know there was one Ozzy Osbourne comic, but apparently there's at least 3 that made the list this week, to say nothing of however many more there might even be out there at all.
Well, the most recent and the biggest one that I think people, if you're a collector, you should look into is The Patient Number 9, because that was a comic book that ended up getting released the same time that Ozzy's Patient Number 9 album was released. The comic book and the CD were available together, but there were also multiple double signed comics that were given to record stores and hidden around these record stores kind of as an Easter egg hunt. And those books were signed by both Ozzy and cover artist Todd McFarlane. So that's a nice little piece of comic book history, continuing, just something fun that Todd did with a very well-loved character.
2 legends right there. Thank you guys for hanging out with us this week. Next week, Tom will be back unless he gets super sick at Comic-Con. I'm not trying to jinx him though, Tom. Get back home safe. We'll see you soon. We'll see all of you guys soon. Thanks again for hanging out with us. And as always,
see you on the other side. Keep responsibly.
That's it.
Here we have Superman 680. This is the book that we are giving away in today's video. And if your phone number ends in 3112, this is yours. I will be texting you very soon. You should have instructions in there on what to do going forward to claim this, and I will get it shipped out as soon as possible. I have no idea what we're doing for the next giveaway, so I'm going to leave that up to Tom for when he gets back from Comic-Con. So thank you guys for staying till the end of the video, and congrats again for 3112 phone number. Good job. We'll see you in the next one.